The film was nominated for 2 awards, the Laurel Awards for Top Action Drama and the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Written American Comedy. But even if it didn't win any Oscars for Warner Brothers, it did gross a record-setting $5 million at the box office. What's the film? Here's a hint. The fella says, "I got great news." And the lady answers, "Auburn beat Alabama." Still can't get it. The younger generations probably think of George Clooney and Brad Pitt when they hear the film title Ocean's 11. But premiering in Vegas on August 3rd, 1960, this caper about a reunion of Army paratroopers planning to take the big casinos packed not just an all-star cast, but the A-list most often referred to as Rat PAC. Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, Joey Bishop, Sammy Davis Jr., and the chairman of the board himself, Frank Sinatra. And ironically, it was a caper about blowing out all the lights at the big casinos and exploiting the pandemonium to pull off the biggest job in history with an all-star cast of Hollywood superstars who were openly supporting a young candidate for president. Premiering almost exactly 1 month to the day before Labor Day, the traditional countdown to Election Day. Coincidence? Perhaps, but they say there are generally no coincidences in politics. And if you happen to look at the news lately, you may have noticed quite a few things going on around the country, from spontaneous and unprecedented national protests springing from a tragic incident involving law enforcement in Minnesota, at a time when Virginia and other states are beginning to reopen from pandemic crisis lockdown. Very conveniently, after the only doctor serving as a state governor promulgated an executive order mandating that everyone wear facial coverings on a claim that a bandana, the Antifa uniform, had been scientifically proven to prevent a barrier against infection. And like a lot of people believe that they are coming home from Vegas with a jackpot prize, a lot of people actually believe in the impenetrable qualities of 2-ply cotton against microbial infections, the magically infectious qualities of social gatherings of 10 or more, and the curative qualities afforded by a 6-foot perimeter, all apparently suspended when Tim Kaine went on social media to preach about standing up for injustice when folks are supposed to be staying at home. So now, the Virginia governor, a country doctor, is presented with a moral dilemma. The clear and present danger presented by national protests involving masked vigilantes and a pandemic pathogen for which he just mandated that everyone be required to wear masks in public. What a predicament. But if news that the state health commissioner M. Norman Oliver, or Mohammed Norman Oliver, decided to conceal the fact that he obtained his baccalaureate degree in an adult night school program offered by the University for the State of New York, a degree program that requires no college entrance examination, Ralph Northam may have more difficult questions explaining what essentially amounted to extortion in requiring that all Virginians wear facial coverings in public and not medical-grade protective masks, because if you are not a public health professional in Virginia today, that would be punishable as a felony in a pandemic crisis. Like the N95 is the gold standard for medical mask protection, the case of Virginia Department of Health v. Cunningham is the gold standard for what the Commonwealth government must provide to the public before promulgating a regulation that may produce collateral, especially lethal damage, in pursuit of a greater good or overriding state interests, as lawyers say in court. And sadly, just producing a live stream to claim that there is a growing body of science to support the proposition that a bandana can save your life almost effectively as a medical grade protective mask, or even tugging on emotions about fatality counts that not even the Center for Disease Control would recognize as a local epidemic fails to meet the grade to pass constitutional muster. And that's a really, really big thing in a court. Call it crazy. And that would be a great suggestion, because even though involuntary civil commitment and compulsory administration of antipsychotic drugs are very common in some other countries, found to have occurred over 71% of the time, even in India, in a rule of law in a place like America, there are considerations of due process that must be followed before you assume that someone is infected with COVID-19, presents a clear and present danger to another person or himself, is in need of medical treatment, and is unable or unwilling to seek that treatment by himself. Just like you can't scream Simon Says, even to lock up a sex offender, you can't claim doctor's orders to make someone put on a medical mask, especially one that science says will not protect you in the first place. And although you may want to, under USB shank, you cannot scream fire in a crowded movie theater. And since April 2nd, Ralph Northam has been evading the Department of the Sheriff to avoid a service of a summons to challenge his lockdown order, to avoid an injunction that would have prevented him from doing what even the Chinese now admit that they did not even do in any place except Wuhan, to contain a public health crisis that was out of control. An injunction to prevent him from locking down elderly persons in nursing homes because the scientific reports from the same health organizations, CDC and the World Health Organization, he claims endorsed the idea of facial coverings, made it perfectly clear to everyone that a lockdown order would definitely kill them. And a doctor should have known that. My name is Major Mike Webb, and I am running for U.S. Congress with liberty, honor, and excellence. By God, we shall make America great again. Honest.
Reach and lead me, guide me and keep me in the shelter of your care each day. 'Cause I am a seeker and you are a keeper. You are a leader, won't you show me the way? You are a leader, won't you show me the way?
This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb.